have a very busy agenda. We're going to try to make sure that we let everyone speak, but bear with us as we go through all the items on the agenda, and we'll try to get to your items as quickly as we can. The first item on the agenda is open space update. I think we're still waiting for copies to be distributed. Is that correct?
They were distributed. We haven't gotten anything back yet, comment-wise.
Okay. So they've been distributed to all the boards and commissions in town?
That we're supposed to.
Great. Excellent. So we're still waiting to hear on that. All right. Anything else on open space, guys? Okay. The next item on the agenda is 275 Chestnut Street. And Mr. Vo's engineer has spoken with Nancy and sent us an email. And he said that he received a call on Friday from his client saying the Conservation Commission has scheduled a meeting for Tuesday, August 26th. And as he discussed with Nancy, he's unable to attend the meeting and would like to reschedule for Tuesday, September 9th at 2014. And he's meeting with his client this week, and he should be able to update the status of the project and the recording of the orders of conditions. Are you guys okay with It's not a actual hearing, it's just an update.
No, I know that, but we have given an order of conditions, and he blocked off that entrance, which he's supposed to be using, just for the record.
Do you think we should write him a letter?
I think before he shows up, he should tell us why and how he's gonna fix it, because remember on the right-hand side, that's all blocked off with rocks.
Which he shouldn't have done.
No, and he's
Because
using the wrong side.
Okay. So Nancy, can you put a note in that we should write a letter to Mr. Vo with a copy to his engineer, letting him know that his actions with the driveway aren't in accordance with the order conditions, and that we expect him to move the rocks in front of the driveway that he's supposed to be using. I guess Joe can sign that when he's here. I can do it if you need me to, but. All right. Is there anything else on that particular filing? Anybody want to make a motion to move this to September 9th?
Motion to move to September 9th.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a continued hearing for a notice of intent for David Allward, 1066 Washington Street, Abington, to reestablish swales to correct drainage problems in the backyard at 1066 Washington Street. I would like to have a motion to open the hearing.
Make a motion, we open the hearing for 1066 Washington Street.
Second?
Second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, would you like to come up? And I am Kathy Creighton. I am the vice chair sitting in for our chairman who's not here tonight. Would you guys introduce yourselves?
Jerry Keller.
Russ Forsythe.
Mike Noonan.
Bill Stone.
Okay, and Nancy Hurstis is our recording secretary. Nancy's our recording secretary. Okay, great. So I think you guys were waiting for a DEP number. Is that correct? Have you gotten your DEP number?
It's not gonna happen. I can't afford it. $5,000 worth of engineering to fix my backyard, ain't gonna happen.
We don't have it.
Something else.
We don't have it.
So, where do we go from here?
Just in time.
I beg your pardon, I'm very sorry for being late.
So you filed with DEP, but they are requesting specific plans?
Yes.
With an engineer stamp on it,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yep,
And the sketch that you provided was not sufficient for them?
right.
We guess.
Did you pile a loam in there, and is that stockpiled?
Say again?
You pile a loam, is that all still stockpiled there?
I spread it, yes, the dozer had to go. I spread the loom out, and it's no further out than my lawn originally was. There wasn't that much there.
That's,
Behind that is where I filled. That hasn't been touched.
since we've been here.
The
We haven't done
swales
anything
are,
in the back.
the right facing the house, the left swale is pretty clean. It's got a nice batch of cattails growing in it that I haven't touched. This is what we got.
We've stopped.
What do you want me to do?
We stopped everything.
Dig it out, you want me to plant trees? I don't want more grass way back there anyways. Want me to plant maples? What do you want me to do?
I would suggest that you get together with Sion, because that's where the fight is. You guys come in front of us and decide the best avenue for both of you is get along, nice neighbors, and we could probably approve it. Is that okay?
I've already called the lawyer off of him. I talked to him last
I know,
night.
if you would come.
No, that's what he's saying. He's saying that we just need to get together with
Just
him.
get together with him, come in front of us and say, you guys have determined, because even though I'm in the business, he's a lot smarter than anybody sitting at this table about wetlands and so forth. And that would be my suggestion. That would save you a lot of money, and that would solve the problem. It's just you two neighbors fighting each other, as far as I can see.
Right, okay.
I mean, just call them and say, what can we do to make this right? Come in front of us, tell us, and I think you can get your yard back. Is that okay? I mean, that's probably the best we can do
Yes.
without.
Yeah, well, he
That's
said
fine.
last night that, well, whatever. He
That's
said
fine.
that he would help me clean the swales, which he told me that before.
Okay,
But what specifically are you looking for?
For two neighbors just to agree on where the
What
water's
needs to
gonna
be done.
flow, and that you're not gonna have any more problems with him, he's not gonna have any more problems with you. And if we can just hear that, I think we can let you do what you want.
okay.
Except that they can't get a DEP number
Yeah, I
because
know.
DE's insisting on an engineered plan based on what they wanted to do with the PE stamp. And
Well-
that's what I think you've just come to us with, is that you can't afford to do that,
Right,
correct? Is
exactly.
that what you've?
Yep. I mean, it's like over $5,000 to do that.
So I guess the real question is I don't know if Mr. Sione will help you or not with that issue, because that's the issue. We can't, DEP isn't gonna approve anything that we do. We can't push forward till there's a DEP number.
But if they just go putting their backyard back to the original condition, which we don't know what it is, I mean, Sion knows what it is, right?
Right,
Maybe that can be fine. In other words, just going back to original. I guess Sion has pictures, you have pictures of his place and so forth.
Yeah.
And I think if you both come in and you can just figure out how to put it back to original, I think that it might be satisfy everybody.
Yeah,
And
and
that-
this is a time when the Conservation Commission can actually work with you and the DEP. I mean, why is the DEP asking for, it's because of the order itself?
It was
and its
incomplete.
intent?
We
Yeah.
didn't, I
Then its
didn't,
intent was incomplete?
yeah.
yeah.
So are you constructing anything, or you're
No.
just simply?
No.
So really, it's the issue with the water.
Right.
The DP is afraid that you're going to move the direction of the water. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's why they need an engineer that actually shows you. The engineer's going to stand back and look at the lands forms and decide, is this the right flow and how that's going to affect your neighbours. So that's why the DP is asking for an engineer, right? And Mr. Noonan is actually saying, just bring it back to what it was. Don't
Right.
divert the water. Do you need to divert the water? Do you need to divert the stream behind you, the wetlands?
The two swales handled the water, were supposed to handle the water before he did whatever he did up there, okay? And since he did his work, there's way more water than these pipes can handle and my backyard can handle, okay? When you look out your cellar door and it looks like the ocean coming in at you, you're in trouble.
Okay, so
Okay.
there's more water coming.
He's
in.
pushed more water at me than there ever was, okay? I came to this committee when he started this project. You guys, it's got nothing to do with you. It was that committee at the time, and they said, no wetlands, no. They sent the town down, they checked the pipes out. I let them in the backyard to try and clean the swales out. And all it was soup, and it was the middle of winter, and it just slid back in again, okay?
But it turns out there are wetlands
And it's-
because you're getting flooded in, right?
Yes.
So there must be wetlands.
Okay? Over the years, this has sunk and sunk and sunk, wetter and wetter and wetter, okay? When I first moved in, the area that's shown on this map was pretty high ground. I had a practice archery stand out there. You could walk out there, you weren't walking in soup up to your knees, okay? The other thing is, this spring, they built a house beside me. These wetlands are within 50 feet of that house. Why weren't they flagged, and why weren't there hay bales put on out next door?
Yeah,
It's a good point.
it's a very good
I
point.
mean, Mr. Noonan
Okay.
called this whole thing.
I had no indication that there was any wetlands here.
When we
But
cleaned it
can
up.
we just, the water was coming in, so your solution was to put more soil over the water, right? To
Bring
try-
my grade back, bring
But
my
I also
grade
think
back
we were
up.
talking
So-
about having him clean out the swales on either
Right.
side.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is, and making sure that the pipe is flowing, but I think what's happening is that the water that normally flowed in these drainage channels isn't moving.
And the house to the right has gotta be at least, what, 2-3 feet higher
Oh,
than your
yes,
property?
it's
Yeah.
higher than me, yes.
So they're
Well,
not,
both the properties on
Yeah,
either
so it's
side of
forced,
us is
you're-
going
you-
into
You've
us.
become a swale in your own
A
right.
floodplain,
Yeah.
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 So, I think we were hoping that that would be enough for him, and he submitted a hand-drawn plan recognizing that they're a homeowner and what he wanted to do. We understood it, I think, but unfortunately DEP wants more.
Well, I think I remember the plan, and part of the plan was actually putting the soil in where it's water, and in a way that does divert the water plane, and the water's going to go somewhere, so some other neighbour is going to get it. So maybe the best idea is to chat to your neighbour behind you, Mr. Sione, like Mr. Noonan said, and see because in theory, I mean, even though I'm a lawyer, you don't want to bring lawyers into this. In theory, you would have some kind of action where the guy is doing something that might affect your land. So why don't you work out with Mr. Sione what he wants to do? Because obviously he's using that land, right, for something. For-
Sion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He must be
that's
using it
his
for
business.
We're
growing.
willing
yeah.
to do that, but is that going to float with you people? Are we
I think
going to
you'll
get-
have to probably come back to us and present what you're going to do.
Well,
Okay.
But if we can do something to help
Right.
you minimize the cost, we'd like to do that and still get you a solution.
Like I
Okay.
said, if you can get together with Sion and come up with a viable plan, and again, he knows drainage, I know
Okay.
drainage, but he knows drainage, a lot.
Mhm.
And see, he said he'd help you, and that way, take the wolves off of each other, just get along and get it fixed, and you can have your backyard back, but I think you're also gonna have some problems with water no matter what, because if people are higher than you on both sides, the water's still gonna flow into you. So that's why you.
I understand that. What I've done, I'm not even sure is gonna totally
Fix it, but
fix my
we're
problem.
hoping.
Right.
All right? But at least I won't be stepping off my back step into ankle-deep mud.
Right.
Okay.
That's- I think the next step would be approach him, get along, and then just come back to us and say, and he'll probably have more answers than we can have and you can have, because that's what he does for a living.
Okay?
And then if it's viable, and you think it's viable, do you think we can just let him go with it?
I
Yeah,
think-
because we can actually, I mean, here the DEP is very concerned with the direction of the water. And to be honest, if you put soil somewhere, one of your neighbours is going to get flooded out. He's going to have the same problem you have today.
I'm still lower than the two neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still in
Yeah.
our backyard, all the water still
I
stays
just
with
wanted to
us.
go around and come
Yeah.
down into the pipes.
That's
Okay?
all.
Which it did before,
Yes.
Yes.
then you're putting it back to original, I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Newman.
However, I do think they're going to need to submit something to us for us to approve.
But will they
Oh,
bring it
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
back?
Yeah,
we
you
will
will
do
have to
that.
come
Yeah.
back, you will
Yeah.
have to
No,
come
we're not
back, but
saying
I
that.
think we're trying.
But we're
if-
saying, what happens with the DEP here? I mean,
I
where is
think
it?
you might want to withdraw your current filing, and,
The engineer told me if I don't get in contact with them, they're never gonna come looking for me.
Well, how do you withdraw it?
I'm not quite sure, do you know?
You just
Well,
call it,
yeah.
I've had to just call up and, just say at this time, expense is not, we don't have the money, it's too expensive, and so we're just gonna leave our land as is.
And then you
Kind
can
of forward,
resubmit,
yeah.
and so
Okay.
it'll be a new filing,
Alright.
Yeah.
and then we can go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if we all agree that that's the intent, I think we're okay with that. We'd like to give you some time to work with the Sionis.
Right,
And of
okay.
course, if you get back right away at our next meeting, you'll have your lawn for the fall.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And we understand, so hopefully
Okay.
that will help.
Yeah, and we might modify, we should keep the notice of intent open. Did they do a notice of intent?
Yeah, we did.
You paid for notice. So we should keep that open, and it'll just simply be modified, because DP suggested one thing, you can't do it, so you're gonna work with the Conservation Commission to do another thing. So that means they don't have to file another notice of intent.
Okay.
Oh, well, I was suggesting that they
I would
would,
think when I get together
withdraw.
with Sione, we'd
Yeah.
have to file some kind of a letter of
Yeah.
intent with you.
Just, yeah,
What
just
we're
an
gonna do.
amended,
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
file an amended one.
amended
So-
one.
So you're saying
Yeah.
keep it open?
Okay.
Yeah,
So
A new
I will
plan.
take a motion to
postpone.
postpone this hearing to, I think it's September 9th.
Yep.
Okay.
Does that give them enough time?
Well, that, well.
I know, can we push it out one more
Yeah.
time than that, because I'm
What's
going
the-
in I'm
No
having
problem.
surgery, so we need
Of
to
course we
push it
can.
out one more
Of
time.
course we can.
23rd?
Whatever's
Yeah,
convenient
that's,
for you guys,
that would
that's
be
fine.
good.
Yeah, the 23rd. Okay, take a motion for the 23rd?
Motion to postpone to the 23rd for 1066 Washington Street.
Okay.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing on our agenda is 1212 Bedford Street. I don't believe the applicant's here yet. I think, you know, we. Oh, he is out there? Excuse me. There he is. Hello. Okay, hello, everybody. We are going to do the request for determination for 1212 Bedford Street of Vincent DeAndrea for the removal of existing sand, gravel, and loam piles located on the northwesterly portion of the site, the installation of a fence on top of the existing Jersey barriers, and the installation of a gate across the rear of the site. The removal of the stockpiled material will prevent runoff from the site onto the abutting property and adjacent wetland, and the installation of the fence and gate will prevent unauthorized access. Take a motion to open the hearing.
Motion to open the hearing.
Second?
Second.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, hello, I am Kathy Creighton, I am substituting in for Joe Feeney, who is not here tonight as chair. And you guys wanna introduce yourselves?
Mr. DeAndre, you know me, Dennis Bergen.
Jerry Kelleher.
Mike Noonan.
Bill Stone.
Okay, and what we will do is, we will hear from the applicant, the board will ask questions, and then I'm gonna open it to the floor for questions, okay? So, wanna get started and tell us what you'd like to do?
My application for the RDA, and then it's pretty self-explanatory. And there's a blueprint or a plan to what's to be done.
So is this the drain that Matt McPhail was discussing?
Matt's gonna be, probably coming down.
Right.
This is my property line here,
Right,
okay? He's coming down from up here.
yep,
And running down.
yep. And this goes through that
Well,
pond?
the pond,
Okay.
it's actually, in your covers, it's not, not depicted on your plan. Well, it is depicted on this. This plan here, this is the pond.
Okay.
That's it.
Yep,
Just the corner is the railroad ties, the barriers go across,
mm-hmm.
goes right straight across into, that's the deepest portion of this corner.
Oh, so the pipe's coming across this way,
Right. That's the,
from
that's
here.
the right,
Okay.
right in that corner.
So are we dealing with, is just moving soil, or are we also dealing with the 12-inch drain pipe?
I
from
thought
this
we
Monroe
already
house?
went and did the 12-inch drain pipe.
That
Oh,
was
a
McPhail's
di-
property, that was
Oh.
Matt McPhail's property.
So, well, Miss Monroe has installation of a drain pipe, which will handle with the overflow from depression, and you've got it written there, but it's not in the RDA. So has that got anything to do with you?
I don't know, I didn't do the RDA, Mill
Well,
Road.
is it what you want to do? Do you want
Yes,
it included in the RDA?
yes, it's on the plan.
You want the drain pipe, okay.
That blue,
So is lot 2, as the blue line goes
This is
to lot
Reed's
2.
property.
This is Mr. and Mrs. Reed's property?
that's that puddle down here,
Okay.
and then this is the pipe going.
So they've got a pipe going out onto, is that street there, isn't
No,
it?
that's the
It's
pond,
the rock
that's the
pond.
little,
Oh, the
that little
rock.
pond there,
Oh, excellent, okay.
which drains off, goes out 18.
Okay, I think my comment would be that I am a firm believer that the wetland in back of Lot 2, that's a wetland and not a depression, and I don't agree with the delineation, would be my comment on this to begin with. This is where, you know, and I think it's connected to here, to the wetland that he shows on here. So I'm not in agreement with the wetland determination on this. And he is abutting right on top of it, and I don't see any hay bales. and I don't see any siltation fences on the plan. And it's not clear to me that he hasn't filled some of if the wetland extended onto his property or not. There's no test pits or no borings to prove it. So I have a problem with it from my perspective as a conservation commissioner. I'm not sure that I'm in agreement with what's proposed. And I do believe we asked for a notice of intent and not a request for determination.
Well, actually, I think they wanted to do a request for determination just on the soil. Originally, it was just the soil, you're moving the soil off the land, right?
I don't know. Andy Monroe spoke with Nancy about it.
Okay.
I was a little,
Well, you know, the first question we have is the area it's subject to jurisdiction of the Wetlands Act? And yes, it is, because there's a river out
The
there,
back
and it's
is-
certainly
right.
wetlands.
It's about 50, 100 feet.
Right, so you...
The back is, I agree with that. Up in the back on McPhail's property, that
Right.
is. The fact is that I own back to here now 100 feet was what I was unclear of as far as thinking that I'm on someone else's property that has the wetlands, but it's not on mine.
What about the thing that I thought was just a puddle, but actually seems to be a river between your property and Mr.
It's not a river. What
Reed's?
happened is when that pond clogged, okay, water's gonna run downhill. Water ran all the way down, and because Reed's property is high, it comes down to a point on the property line of McPhail's property, and then that's the same level that I have running on mine. That it ran down and ran into his depression, but also, he's on a hill. He's got all kinds of rainwater coming down his own property.
Well, what did we decide that was? Because this
Well, you
really
decided
isn't
it-
Norman
you
Clapp's
decided
map.
back
Sure it isn't.
In your before this last thing, that it was a puddle, and it wasn't.
Yeah, I think I got that
wetlands.
wrong, right?
I don't know.
But this isn't, I mean, it says here, this is marked professional land surveyor Norman Clapp. And we just had some people say, you know, it cost $3,000 for this or $5,000 to, this is, poor Mr. Clapp didn't do this map, right?
Yes, he did originally. Oh,
Originally.
were you talking about the
Yeah.
colored things on it?
Yeah,
No,
but he didn't do
Monroe
it.
did
He
that.
didn't do it.
No, Monroe did that.
Miss Monroe did that. Okay.
That's
Okay,
all.
and we don't have Monroe's wetland delineation report
Well,
attached
she
or the
can't flag
wetlands.
other people's property.
So,
She can't.
so that's B. That's
She
B.
could've-
A is, is this under the Wetlands Act? And it is. B is, are the boundaries of the resource areas depicted on the plan and maps accurately delineated? So do we think they're accurately delineated?
There's been no water at all in that whole area all year,
Okay.
since the drain has been cleared.
I do not believe that they've been delineated. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but the fact that the neighbor's property's not delineated it alone, I don't think it's
So they should probably
delineated.
hire an engineer and botanist.
Well, they have little things
Well, they're
that
not,
say wetlands.
excuse me, please don't make
Oh,
comments
I'm
about
just
the
saying,
neighbors.
that's all, if you have-
Please
yeah.
don't do that.
Well,
But usually they do the wetlands, and you know what we talked about, the river, the puddle, all that stuff. That stuff has to be delineated, worked out what it is on a map, you know. So, I mean, those are two, because we have our questions here in your form. That one isn't even marked, but we'd have to answer that. And asks, is the work depicted below subject to the Wetlands Act? So, moving the earth may or may not be, but putting a drain pipe in definitely is. But that might be the answer, and we're going to hear from the abutters, right?
that's what was said before you, that's what you wanted.
But,
I
you
said
know-
I couldn't do it only because I says the state had put
Yeah.
a cease on Matt McPhail's property, and Matt McPhail has to agree, which is a notice of easement, which I have. He has signed the notice of easement. It's not filed, it won't be filed until after this is done, if this is approved, so.
And I apologise for talking, you know, to the other commissioners out in town, but only because I went out originally. You know, where they talk about the work depicted on the plans, there's one big elephant in the room here, right? And that's that this is an RDA, but we asked you for a notice of intent based on an enforcement order.
It's what?
Do you remember that?
No.
I think it was the one where the issue was whether you were properly served or not.
Right.
So
A
you,
lot going on, so I really don't, you know what I mean, I'm not,
I know.
when I get I can
I
just
know.
hire the lawyer and whatever.
So, but actually,
Excuse me, one thing.
It's-
Yeah, I showed you a paperwork with the thing on it. This is a plan here. Now, where's that? I just gave you something from the thing. It was the easements. There's an easement, a signed easement.
This was in my packet.
In the packet.
So may I ask you,
Sure.
sir, you begin by saying the property where the activities proposed is a cleared, open, commercial zoned lot. Now, I thought that the whole issue was all about the clearing at the very beginning, that you brought in soil, that you put it where there was a wetland and either a river or a puddle, that the neighbour complained because he got more water. And we actually did a restraining order where we said, don't do any more work while we work out what the story is. You put up barriers to protect the wetland, but then you brought in more soil, right? Brought in more soil, and now the soil is up to the top of the barriers. Wouldn't that be right? And you're going to build on
Yeah,
that.
that's
your
the
cleared
elevation,
land.
that's the height of the elevation of Matt McPhail's property as it comes down. That would be the normal flow, just like Reed's property is high in the back and comes down, slopes to the front.
But part of the problem has been from day one, since this board's been involved, is you put those barriers up,
Yep,
and those barriers stop any flow that might have gone into that pond, that's what we'll call it right now, that
Which
is on the other guy's property.
I
So
think
the
it's a
natural
river.
flow-
It's
The
like a
natural
river.
flow of the water, as far as we can detect, because we don't have any original plans, is being basically boarded and going into your property, right? Yes. Because of those concrete barriers.
that's why you asked me to put a pipe in.
Yes.
I said I couldn't put the pipe in because I have to get an easement from Matt McPhail, and that he's under an order from the state to stop using the pond that drains across 18. You remember that conversation?
But I wasn't here for that meeting, but
Oh, you weren't?
I was never here when McPhail was here, so have we seen that?
We had a request for determination on his property.
But have we seen the state's
No, we
cease
asked,
and desist?
we asked for it and we've never seen it. And we're talking, I think that it may be under resolution as well. It may be just that he needed to get a permit for it rather than it's, rather than a cease and desist as much as we never got it from Mr. McPhail. And I do believe we were interested in it, but we never got it.
He never showed it.
Yeah, and, but in the case, what we have before us is really what we're talking about right now, and I think that, for me, I'm just a little frustrated with what's here. It's not quite what I needed. And I will point out, though, I did notice on the paragraph that you were just reading, that a bordering vegetated wetland exists on the west-northerly side of the site on into the rear of the abutting property, NF Reed. That bordering west northerly side of the site on and to the rear of the abutting properties of the Reed. So it isn't, we don't have the botanist report with her drawing of where the wetland is. And, I think we've seen a lot from Brook Monroe, and we always see the flagging as well. And
Well,
and I know it's off property, but along, we don't see anything from her.
No, although this is an RDA, really, rather than notice to intent. And on the upside, there is this idea that the water will be drained to that pond, which will go under the, Route 18, which is a nightmare. So maybe, when you throw it out to the floor, to the public, maybe the neighbours can comment on that if they think that's going to resolve it. Because that was the talk, wasn't it? And although this is not a perfect fix, anything that helps the neighbours, because this is only stage one, right? Stage two, if I read Miss Monroe's letter right, her previous letter and all, you've totally ignored the enforcement order and everything. But I gather there is going to be a construction, right? You're going to do a notice of intent.
What was the total notice? I mean, what are you talking about?
We did an enforcement order before and
Yeah.
asked you just to hold everything. And part of that would be a notice of intent asking how much soil you brought there. When you
Maybe
put
the
them
soil
through.
soil tests.
Yeah, I don't know that answer, but how much soil you brought there?
Yeah.
But that was I think what the question was. Did you bring in soil in? How much soil and how that
I did, that's why I
affected
gave you
topography?
the chemist reports.
Did you tell us how much soil you brought there?
I believe there was
I
less than
don't,
100 years.
Did you tell us
did
how
we
much
see
soil
the
you brought
chemist
there?
reports?
Yes.
Okay.
He brought something one night with soil,
Did we get a copy of it?
I think Nancy covered.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember him
I'd love
telling
to
us how much
see
soil
this.
we
I
went to.
recall that.
But anyway, I mean, let's as you say, let's deal with the reality. And the idea is that there's going to be a pipe that's going to siphon off the
He
water.
says he's not putting a pipe in.
Yes, I'm going to. Before, I could not, because, I don't know, the Route 18 project is on, excuse me, is it not on hold? Chairman,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't,
isn't the Route 18 project on hold?
that's what we understand, but
Okay.
we don't know.
So as far as Matt McPhail was concerned, and I'm concerned, at this point, we can run the pipe across.
Okay,
And that's what I have I have an easement, it'll be recorded after the fact, so that I'm able to put the pipe in. I just need that back, this is originals. You wanna look at that?
but, where we stand right now?
Well, I mean, he's asking for a request for determination on the pipe, taking some soil off, not the soil you already brought in, but other soil that's on top that's covered with a tarp. I passed your site
That's,
today.
that's
Is
the
that the
top,
stuff?
that's loam, that's gonna kill all the weeds.
That's the
I
stuff.
don't wanna spray insecticides.
Oh, is that more stuff you're putting on the site?
No, that's all coming off. It's gotta be screened. It's gonna be level. It's gonna be a level lot when I'm done.
Jolly good. And he's talking about putting the pipe in.
Are you going to redistribute it on the site, or are you gonna take it
No,
off-site?
take it off.
So we don't really have, an engineer telling us about the water and all that kind of stuff. But, I wonder what the neighbours think about this. Do they think this is going to be a resolution?
All right, does anybody else have any questions or comments before I open it up to the audience? Okay. If not, if you'd like to speak, please state your name and your address for the record, and then go ahead and say what you need to say. And you're welcome to come up to look at anything.
My name is Brian Reed, 26 Highland Road. First of all, we should be doing an NOI because right here, there's a picture of where these lands are, and there's wetlands on my property and Mr. DeAndre's property. And the reason it's not wetlands anymore is because it's filled in. I mean, it's plain and simple that there's 5 feet more dirt there, and it's not wetlands anymore, and people write out this report, and yes, you're right, it's not wetlands anymore,
Yeah.
but it should be.
I know. But,
And-
but what do you think of we have before us tonight a request for determination of whether, it's applicable, what he needs to do in this attempt, but whether it's applicable, the idea of putting in a pipe. Do you think that would, rectify
It very well might help alleviate the problem, but it doesn't affect the fact that I had a stone wall in my backyard, and now I have Jersey barriers and 5 feet of dirt. And Mr. DeAndre did this without authorization, without an NOI, without any permits or anything to do that.
If I may just say, right now, he has the request for determination to remove all the soil, put the pipe in, then he's gonna have to come back with a notice of intent for any future thing that has to be on there. And that's what.
May I
Can I
correct?
correct you 1 second? Mr. DeAndre only wants to remove the piles of dirt. He does not want to put the dirt level and remove the Jersey barriers back to the level it was before. He only wants to remove the piles of dirt.
Right, that we understand. Yeah.
So that's not the same thing.
Well,
We were here last month,
Right.
and we were talking about going back to what it
What it
was.
was, yes.
Originally.
I talked about that.
And apparently, we didn't go down that route.
Well, this is the first time he's been here, but yes, I do remember that.
yeah.
Basically, whatever, but we don't, I wish somebody had photographs of what it was originally. Because it is filled in with Jersey barriers, I mean, it's.
Well,
Just
the
a
Jersey
retaining wall.
barriers
It's a
are
retaining
just,
wall to
yeah.
keep the dirt from falling
I don't think
in
the Jersey
his
barriers are a
property.
problem. It's the fact that it was soil put up after the Jersey
Even a
barriers, so the
retaining
soil went
wall,
up.
knock it over the stone wall and using a retaining wall. I mean, I'm a residential property. Jersey barriers are acceptable.
Well, he was
retaining
he was
wall?
protecting your water. He was protecting
It's not my water, it's everybody's water. The water is not coming off of my property, it's coming off of everyone's property. That's why all that wetlands is there. That is a picture from the state. Their determination that that area is wetlands.
Right. We understand that. Wetlands move. In this case, the guy filled in the wetlands. It's terrible, but we have to deal. I mean, One solution would be to take all the soil. You brought all the soil in, to ask them to take the soil out. You could do that. We can actually say that we're not going to accept this request for return, or that we accept this request, but we ask for a notice of intent. That's one of our alternatives. The other alternative, which we often do, is that we say, well, it does affect the wetlands, but if you actually take various precautions that we allow, that we outline, you're all set. So that's why I was asking you, do you think the pipe would work?
It appears to me that if you let Mr. DeAndre have this RDA, that the work stop order and all that stuff is gone. He can go and do whatever he wants, because he already did it, and there's no consequences to it.
It's definitely an issue. But I suppose also you have to think that he is, that is a commercial site, and he was building on a commercial
And
site.
mine is a residential site,
Yeah.
and there was a stone wall there that looked semi-decent, and now I have a Jersey barrier in my backyard.
Well, you're going to have a building soon.
And
This is
if
gonna
it
build.
went to zoning and planning, as it probably would have if there was
Should've.
actually a construction, you would have the appropriate buffer, either trees or a fence, because if you read our zoning regs, that would be put there.
So, once again, why are we?
And
And
I
if, what
hear
I'm trying to
you.
get at is, why are we gonna allow this to, if we let him go, he just goes and does whatever he wants again?
Well, that's our question. We're asking you, Mr. Reid, what helps you? You've got a house that, when it floods, it really does flood, and we've all gone and
Yeah,
seen it.
And I have a property value
It's
of
only,
my
it's only
property.
flooded once, okay? It was only because the pipe clogged and met and
It was
failed.
pretty spectacular, though,
It
right?
flooded
I didn't
more
say it
than that,
wasn't
because that was just the
spectacular.
I
one
didn't
day
say it
you
was-
guys showed up, we
Has it
had
flooded
it happen
since?
before.
Has it flooded since?
No, it has not.
Okay, thank you.
It's the summer. But what would help? What would help? I mean, do you think that would help?
Removal of the dirt and Jersey barriers and putting it back to what it was before we started. And then starting over again, and if Mr. DeAndre wants to fill it in, he needs to fill out an NOI and come here and get an engineer plan and do it properly.
I hate to say it, I agree with him.
If I want to
Because
just,
we weren't here to see it from day one. He's got all kinds of stuff from the former
Past.
commission.
Back to 2000 or 1998.
Yeah, and-
Yeah.
it's been
I can
accepted
tell
and
you that
approved.
it has been filled in and that the pond is smaller than it was back when I moved here. Because I live not too far from there and I walk by it. And I think that would be,
Fail.
that would not be, it doesn't, I don't know, it's a combination of
Take that with him.
1200 and 1212, both of them. And that's my opinion of this particular site. I am betwixt and between because I would like to see the pipe get installed like Dennis so that we can at least alleviate the short-term problem. My concern is the longer-term issue, which is we still have, I think, an issue with the fact that we have wetlands there and we haven't protected them.
And you just said it, if he had gone from day one to the zoning, in the process of it, we would have found out if that was okay.
I
And
have,
that's just my opinion, but everyone, I don't think we've heard from the other members. Do you guys have anything that you want to say? No? Okay. I think is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
William Wong, Bandit 77 Highland Road. Last time, we got cease and desist on 2 Howard Street to stop Mr. DeAndre landfill on our backyard.
I know, excuse me, could you, this is very much about 1212, so if you could focus your comments on 1212. Because unfortunately, that's not in our jurisdiction.
Right, it's my concern regarding 212
I-
also.
I know, on but if you could focus your remarks on 1212, it would be
Okay.
much
So I
appreciated.
just request that this board of members go to take a look because it's going to happen. He tried to cover the wetland right now. It's about 500 feet, 500 yard from existing since last time the board went there. You know, when you, back in March, the board went there, right? Now it's like almost 500 yard more.
Of material,
for
you're saying on 1212, you've seen
No, I'm
500?
talking about two Howard, because
Okay,
5, 6 years ago I told.
unfortunately, Howard isn't,
Harvard-
the discussion,
Street.
Harvard
Street.
Harvard Street is not
Thank you.
the subject of this decision.
It's just across the site
It
we're
will
talking
happen
about.
just exactly like.
That's why you're talking about.
Understand, so you're drawing a similarity, thank you.
And then we have more work and come to the hearing again, that's what I don't want.
Can I ask a question? Unless, does anybody else have a comment? What's the end goal here, Vinny? Do you intend to construct? You intend to do some construction or building? You're raising up the land so you could do that construction. Is that the end
The
goal?
elevation, yes.
Yeah.
That's all it's gotta be, and once the
Okay.
property's cleared, it's prepared for site so
Alright.
that they can get it marked off for a building.
Right. So that's. I mean, those are the steps. We can't agree with how you went about them, but those are the steps that this gentleman's taking for his commercial land. And Mr. Reid, I mean, what would you want? You see the Jersey barriers beside you. You definitely want them screened, right? You want the water off your land.
Properly, I would want it to have, if it needs a retaining wall, I would want it to have a retaining wall, not a Jersey barrier. I would like the stone wall put back the way it was.
You want a stone wall?
When Mr. DeAndre was over there tearing the stone wall, and I got home from work, I walked over there and said, "What are you doing? That is a stone wall on my property line." And he didn't care. He said, "I'm putting a Jersey barrier over it." And now here we are.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, I had this property surveyed, okay, and the stone wall was a little higher than it should be to put the barriers on. Mr. Reed would like, I can stockpile stones on the barrier side so you can't see the barriers.
So this is a cosmetic thing that
That's all. He just.
Mr.
wants
DeAndre
to-
is suggesting.
I have the Jersey barriers on the other side, which I painted green, okay, a nice forest green. He never complained 15 years about the Jersey barriers that came in on the other corner, on the other side, okay? So he knew, I talked to him about it, and he had no comment at the time.
We did not have any real decision-making power in this piece, but my general comment would be, long-term, I don't look as a Jersey barrier as a long-term way to hold up the soil. It either needs to be
Well, I think there's
sloped
still-
and graded. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
the
sloped
planning
and
board.
graded or a retaining wall, but that would be, it's much more planning zoning from that perspective,
Is it?
except I worry
How do
about
you-
the sliding of the dirt into the wetland that is on the Reed's property.
How can
And
you-
that, to me, is the issue. So I actually think we do have some jurisdiction. I don't like a Jersey barrier as the barrier between two properties.
Well, how can you take
On-
the Jersey barrier has soil on it,
But,
Mr. Lewis, so how do you take that
Where the
away?
Jersey barriers are
Mhm.
on your property, did you put any stone in there for the hydraulic compression?
Yes,
You did.
yes, underneath.
So if they're installed properly and there's no compression that's gonna blow it out,
Nope.
then,
How do we know? It's not,
Because
we don't have
you can
plans
look at 'em.
presented.
You
You
can
don't.
look at them, you
But-
can see
but
the
it-
stone underneath. You can see the stone on the other side for the other barriers that have.
But it's certainly not conducive to,
Well, they're still there.
Wetlands.
How long have they been there now?
Oh, year, 2 years.
A
and a
year,
half.
2 years,
Well, the
you
other
think,
ones have
Mr.
been there
Reed?
15 years.
So, I mean, they haven't
Okay.
moved.
No.
And there's been a lot of
Moved.
water. There's been a lot of movement
Yeah.
all around there.
Yeah.
A lot of
Before the
erosion.
second set of Jersey barriers came up, there wasn't a big puddle there. We never had water like that.
Right.
It
The-
was
the-
after the Jersey barriers were put up behind our property and the 5 feet of dirt on the other side of the Jersey barriers, filling up all the way over to the catch basin, which is now half the size. I have pictures here of what it used to look like. The
See-
catch basin is half filled in.
See, I see what,
DeAndre and the other neighbor, Mr. DeAndre did the work, the other neighbor knew all about it.
right. I mean, I see what you and Mr. Newman are talking about taking the soil back. But the thing is that Mr. DeAndre is going to be before us again because he needs to construct on this site, and
That's
so he
my
needs
next
to bring it up.
question. Can we give him the determination on this and then no other work until he comes to us with a notice of intent? Can we make that?
Well, he would have to, I mean, to build
I have to
to
do
build a
that.
building, he has
I
to do
have
an
to
notice of
do it.
intent.
Okay.
He has to go to the
we don't have to
zoning board.
lift the enforcement order as well. We can keep that in place. We
Okay.
can make a note that, we can make an adjustment to the enforcement order, but not lift it. Because I don't think he's met the full intent of our enforcement order as well.
No, I mean, I think he has ignored it, but I'm not too sure if I would agree with keeping an enforcement order on the land.
Well, I don't want him filling anything else in.
There's nothing else to fill.
At the back of all
My
this,
property
And I
is
don't want him,
filled in.
I don't
My
want him
property's
seeding
done.
and grading something and then,
Not
you know.
seeding, no.
at the back of all this is, the Conservation Commission, compared to the Zoning Board and the Planning Board, which have incredible powers and can just simply say, no, you can't do it, and that's it. Conservation Commission doesn't have really that power. And in fact, the big question is, when we say things, are those takings of the person's land? Are we saying, you have to use your land in a certain way, which is a taking of that land by the government? And that's why, we've done a lot of enforcement orders. We had to. They were never done before, and we had to move in quickly to try and stabilise what was happening. But, we did it with a lot of reticence, and that's why our enforcement orders, this has got to be the longest enforcement order that we have. Maybe Chestnut Street was out there, but doing enforcement order is very dodgy. We try not to have it for very long.
Well, like I say, I've been in front of the conservation, not this board, the old board, and 3 times, 4 times, they've cleared it with no issues.
Yeah.
With no wetlands, no nothing. The engineered reports were here.
Here's another suggestion that I know the conservation commissioners are going to be interested in, but you may not like, and that's if we think that wetlands were taken, we can suggest reclamation, which we do all the time. The Bedford Woods and all these, they all have, they go into the wetlands because they just don't have enough room, and they take wetlands, they pour soil into it, but then they make wetlands somewhere else. But usually we do that based on an actual map. We actually have engineers actually telling us, what land has been used and what land has been reclaimed, and it's usually 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 the amount of land. But I mean, if the commissioners thought that that there should be wetlands put in, further wetlands put in, we could do that.
We've never seen wetlands, so it's just that map shows us wetlands. We, as this board here, has never seen wetlands.
Yeah.
That's.
Well, I think there's wetlands in back of,
McPhail's.
That's still, they're still
on
there.
lot 2. So the wetlands abut directly up to the property, in my opinion.
Lot 2 where?
What's lot
Who's
2?
Lot 2?
The Reed's property. I believe that there's a wetland on that property, and it
Behind
abuts,
it.
normally we have a 10-foot buffer between, and that is a standard that we have been sticking with, and we don't even have that 10-foot buffer. And the other question I have is, because the wetland goes right up to that wall, is, it's funny that it's right on the property line, that the wetland is right there. And there's so much dirt that's been placed there, you cannot tell whether where the wetland ended there. I don't think it was, it wasn't the entire property that Mr. DeAndrea owns, but I do believe that there had to have been wetlands on his property.
You see where it says existing Jersey barrier?
Mm-hmm.
So I saw a map by Mr. Clapp in 2002, I think it was 2002, in which that area was actually noted as a wetland. He actually noted on whatever map it was, he noted that was a wetland, it was on your land. But, I think we have to be pragmatic. I mean, there's got to be a middle between taking all the soil, ordering him to take all the soil away, where he's going to come back, wanting to construct a building, and he needs to bring up the land to do that. And also having the poor reeds literally swim. They're lucky that they don't have basement problems because they're surrounded by water. So there's got to be a happy medium.
Because the drain clogged is where that issue of water comes.
Well, they have a well
And
there
he-
too, and a river.
Well, it's not drinking water, okay?
Right.
It's irrigation water. We've already cleared that up, all right?
Yes, Board of Health is involved in
Okay,
that, yeah.
all right.
Less said, the
So
better.
let's not
yeah.
get into the drinking water aspect, okay? But soil is removed, it would have been removed a long time ago, but because of all this that's been going on,
What's the
It hasn't.
timeline for this?
as soon as you tell me to go ahead, I can go ahead and start. I have some things I have to arrange. I've already lost the guy that sent me the fencing way back. He was already scheduled to come in to do the fencing. Now I'm back in the list, so I don't know.
And are you able to do some stones in front of the Jersey barrier so it looks
I can cover the Jersey
nicer for
barriers
the
with stones, with
reeds?
some large stones if he wants. I could care less. Don't matter to me.
Mr.
Where's the
Reed?
fence going?
It's on
It's kind of on
it's
top of
plan.
the barriers.
This is the map.
It says down here, fence and gate
Thank you.
360 feet. It's gonna start here, go here, go up here, here.
And is
here,
it chain
it's
link?
gate, yes. Chain link with solid, with
There's no.
I don't like the fence, and I don't think we
It's
need
not
it.
in color, so it's just.
I-
fence
Well,
is
it's a
going-
commercial site. He's
That's
putting
right,
it up because it's
commercial.
But
commercial.
here-
And Reed, excuse me, but Reed's property is in the highway commercial plan.
And this is
Okay.
1,200.
See, it shows
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
where is it? Highway, HC.
Does anybody else, I've never seen these.
Fence,
Yeah, see that
This
line?
shows
See
wetlands,
this here?
right?
backing up Kathy's point,
Going up here,
Okay.
over here, and the gate here.
by this Norman Clap, wetlands is basically right, I don't know, I can't tell.
Right between the Reed's property and Route 18, right?
Yeah, here's Bedford Street. Here's the wetlands right here.
Mhm.
Here it is right there.
On me and my property, over here, and.
What's
you know,
the date on
Obviously, this
that?
elevation is here is the same as mine.
This is your property here.
Yes. This
And
is
this-
where the
and this-
stone wall will be.
So this wetland is all filled in.
August 99.
And this is 1,200. This is where the boulder is. This is, the drainage structure, goes by feet, you know, telling you that it goes down.
Well, here's what we have right here. This is Bedford Street. This is Mr. Reed's property. And this has been filled in.
Yeah. Same engineer. Where did those plans come from, Nancy's files?
Yeah, we brought those here before at other meetings that we've
Well,
been.
they're actually in our plan, in our files. We actually have
We got
files
those
that
prints
go.
from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I went
just wanted
through
to,
the
This goes back to when
Verify.
Dwayne Johnson did this one right here.
Yeah, when poor Mr. Johnson was alive. Yeah, and, you know, I went through all them, I read all the files all the way back to the 1990s. Nancy and I pulled them all up.
Okay.
We looked at all the maps.
And the determination from environmental was that no wetlands.
Sure, sure. But I mean,
Isn't
this-
this your engineer? This,
Clap. Yeah.
Clap?
Yep.
And they show wetlands on the property.
They show the
That's-
wetlands in this map too, and also says it doesn't qualify. It doesn't meet the criteria. Did you read that?
No, I did not.
Here you go. I gave you, no, I need that back,
Well,
but
I
no,
I
think-
gave you a
that-
copy in your thing.
I think what they say is that it's an isolated,
Right.
an islip, wherever it is.
It's an intermittent stream. Right now, you could classify it as not wetlands. But when it really rains or snow or ice,
that's a wetland.
it becomes wetlands.
Yeah, it is a wetland.
It's a
It is a
wetland.
wetland.
We're not disagreeing with you.
We agree that it was wet. That's why we're saying that everything applies.
And-
Oh, excuse me,
So
Madam
Dennis,
Chairman?
what are you proposing? Because maybe we
Can
need to
read that
kind of
whole
get
thing, but that's
ourselves off
fine.
the dime.
If you go
We
to
got a
one
lot
of
of
the
people
other pages,
on the
yeah.
agenda
I know,
tonight.
I'm sorry.
No, I
Determination
just want to
from the
try to
Conservation Board.
understand. Excuse
Did you
me.
read that?
No, we're just gonna try to address this thing tonight.
Well, okay.
We-
Well,
Yeah.
read what the conservation did already. That's all. Which page?
We've got, as tonight is as close as we've got to an agreement with all the parties here. You know, there are a lot of problems with even the presentation of this, and, you know, this isn't a map that poor Mr. Clapp did, it's a photocopy, and then they drew over it, and there's loads of issues that you can pick under the, you know, the Conservation 101 book on how to be a conservation commissioner. But you have the Reeds here, who've got problems with flooding. We're going into the winter time, and you've got Mr. Dane Dredd, who wants to construct a building on his site. That's
Putting
what
the
he
pipe
put the
in.
land in.
Pipe's the solution.
The wetlands, this sounds terrible coming from a commissioner, but they're gone. All right, and maybe we can reclamate them somewhere else. I mean, I think that certainly a notice of intent to do a construction, a building, would also look at behind the site, behind your site that you're talking about, all along there, might be wetlands that would have to be protected. You know, and if you were going, how big is your the building? How far back is it going to go?
It's not even,
It's just going to be the
let me tell
front
you,
towards the
it's
Route
gonna be the
18.
front. It's gotta be at least
So,
20 feet.
so there's wetlands, you know, quite a lot of wetlands all around here.
That's past 100 feet.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is, this
well,
is,
no, no,
this
it's
is the
not.
100 feet zone.
No, well, but there's wetlands all around here, and those aren't going to be affected
That's
at
a
all,
house.
right?
That's his house, right here.
Right, but all on the back.
No,
all-
no, we're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
No, it's all down here. It's all here. It's nothing to do with anything up around his, over there, nothing, it's right here.
So I am,
The way I read that, he's not gonna give you an NOI unless he builds a structure within 100 feet of the wetlands.
Well,
I'm
I
not gonna
mean,
give you an
we
NOI
could-
at all, because you're gonna build it further away.
right, I mean, let's not
okay,
get bogged down with details though. I mean, the whole idea is to try and work out what would be good. I mean, we could ask for him to reclamate the wetlands, sure, and take the land apart. You could do that. You know, we're not Hingham, we're not a wealthy town, you know, so that'll be up to the commissioners whether they decide. It's one of the issues here that we'll talk about.
I'd like to close the meeting to the public, you know, so we can move on and make some kind of, we do that?
We can close the hearing, and then we hear no more feedback from either the applicant nor the abutters, and then we can take it back to the board and have the discussion amongst the seven of us in public.
Before we do that, did we get a response from the Reeds saying that the drain pipe would work? Would you be happy with the drain pipe? Do you think that would work?
They really want it to go back to the original. They want it to go back to the original. He wants it to stay and put the drain pipe in. We have to make a decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where you are too, right?
Okay.
You want- okay.
And we can close the hearing, but we do need to make a decision tonight. We have to make a decision tonight because we only have 21 days to hear a request for determination, so we are going to have to make a decision tonight. And we can decide to do it later tonight, or we can do it right after we close the hearing. That will be up to you. So I will entertain a motion to close the hearing if you so wish.
Motion to close the public hearing on 12 Bedford Street.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
I'm in favour, noticing that nobody else wants to speak. So we're not stopping anybody from speaking, right?
Yeah, I think we just need
Yeah.
to have that conversation amongst ourselves, and we'll be doing that in public as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Would you like to discuss what the decision is now, or we'd like to move through the
I'd
rest
like
of
to
our
move on.
agenda?
There's other people
And we can
waiting.
let people go home, and then we can do it. Okay. The next item on our agenda is to ratify an enforcement order on 5 Dale Street. That is, the board issued an enforcement order last week. Who visited the site, and could you tell us what you saw, Dennis?
I mean, I didn't do the enforcement. Did you do the
I
enforcement?
did the enforcement.
Okay,
Yeah.
but both of you, could you tell us what you saw at the site?
Well, we
At 5
got
Dale
the-
Street?
I got a call from Nancy that the state had called,
Okay,
and I was to go up and see the property and do an enforcement order.
okay,
And I got there, and the property was cleaned up, and everything, I didn't know the condition of it because it was all cleaned up. So I came back and called the girl from the state, and she said, I have to go back, do the enforcement order, have the property owner put up the hay bales and fence, and then not to do anything else. And that's what I did, and he did it. I have, I think Nancy has the picture of it, what he did.
I have a photograph of it too.
There's
oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, this is 2001.
This is the hay bales?
That's it, yeah. I was
Yeah,
there
that's it.
tonight.
Oh, you were there tonight, okay.
Yeah.
And Dennis, what did you see when you went?
This is a residential site, and then there's another site beside it where a landscaper has his tracks,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then right behind the site is wetlands, and in fact you actually dip down. It's, you know, they'd also, I think, brought up the site, and then you dip down and there's wetlands there that you couldn't possibly construct.
There's a fenced area where all the landscape equipment is
Yeah.
inside?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's right, and if you go in there, then there's a kind of a plateau, and then the wetlands go right down,
Yep.
and there's trees and all that stuff. He put you know, a screen, a silk fence over the wetlands. I see. So I think what might have happened was that they were putting more and more soil into the wetlands down.
Yes,
below. It's
and-
quite far. I mean, we're talking about 5 feet drop.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least 5 feet drop to the wetlands.
And in the past, I want to say 10 or 15 years ago, the DEP strike force came out to that site as well. We probably have the enforcement order in the files, because I remember, because I went out. So it was a while ago when I was on the commission. And the landscaping business has expanded farther than that time, but they were using compost and C&D and rubble to do their filling at that time, and DEP ordered them to remove it. But it does look like I didn't go into the property, but I drove by it, and they had the doors open, and it looks like they've gone back a lot farther. The other thing I noticed is I went onto the DEP website, to the Mass GIS, and where the hay bales are, it looks like they filled in a wetland right there. There is a pretty significant wetland that runs across the property, and farther back, there's a river. So,
Right.
it's the Shumatusket. So that I think we have a issue, is the owner of the property here?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And so and the other thing is that, we are in a R30 zone, R20 zone, but there is a business being run out of it. And
What's an R30, R20? That's a residential area.
residential area, it's all residential. And I live not too far from there, and, it's all residential there. However, I think we also have a notice of intent that's gonna come before us in a few minutes as well, and it's for the same property. And so perhaps, it looks like they are proposing something residential. So that piece will go away, but I do have some issues with, I think, the significant filling as well. And I will note that the DEP mapping also indicated there's a vernal pool back there. It's not, certified, but I think it falls under our Abington bylaws.
Well, could we have the, Mr. Wells talk about it?
Yes,
And
I think-
Talk about the filling in and all
I
that stuff?
think that would be appropriate at this point. Mr. Wells, are you the representative?
Sure.
Okay, go on up. My name's Kathy Creighton.
I'm Dennis Bergen. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Mike Noonan.
Bill Stone.
Hey, Bill.
Okay, would you talk to us about what's been going on, or do you have any comments about the enforcement order?
Other than, no filling has been going in the wetlands. I mean, the wetland area's been there ever since I can remember. Yeah, we did have an issue, we were trying to, compost leaves and so forth before. And, we removed it and had to put this certain slope and certain, to the wetlands, and we removed all that stuff, but we haven't filled in anything over there in that area. What we're doing, we're just kinda cleaning, because the property is on the market. And, it was within the buffer zone, so then we had to, we got the enforcement and put up the bales of hay and silt cloth.
Is the house empty? Or do people live in that?
Right now, it's empty. My niece was in there.
Or kids, right? I saw
With
it's
kids, couple
yeah.
kids, yeah, right.
But it is occupied by the business at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah, in my family.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to say? I think there's some people from the neighborhood. I want to make sure I open it
Sure.
up to the public. Does anybody from the public have any
I
comments?
just want to make one statement. I'm 29 Dale Street, Dayton Hall.
Oh.
To the left of the property. They were filling it in today, before I came here. So the right-hand side of the property, behind where they just put the fence up, they were pushing dirt back there today.
Is that where the
I opened
trees
it on my
are?
iPad, I'll print out copies for you.
Today?
Right here, today, filling in the wetlands again. I took that picture before I came here. Behind the big pile that, I don't know if you went up back on the.
I did, I actually went out back.
Off of,
Is that where
the
it's,
side road there, behind all the piles of stone that.
the
they took
pallets? Is
out.
it,
Yeah,
Yes,
behind that, they
pallets.
just dumped dirt there today.
so behind the pallets?
Yeah. There's
How do
piles
they
of dirt.
how do they get behind the pallets?
I have, well, they have bobcats and
Right.
everything else. Can you see?
And
Does
is,
Mr. Wells want to see?
Yeah.
yeah,
like
here,
this.
oh, I'm sorry, yeah, please. And that
What's
was,
that showing? Not-
Down, off of Vineyard Road.
No, I mean, no,
Yeah,
I,
Vineyard Road, behind where all the pallets are piled up.
but where is that showing,
There's
today?
piles of brand new dirt there.
You mean the leaves?
I don't
No,
see
it's
anything.
dirt, it's clay and stones and everything else. It's brand new. I'll be more than happy to show you a picture of last week when I took the same picture in the same place. This isn't, here's a picture of the same place last week, before the dirt went in there. That's just a pile of the rubble that's
Sad
set.
to see that.
I don't have the iPad. Is So there's loads of bricks and all there now, in
Right.
that photograph. And then were they removed?
We were
or-
trying to remove, yeah, we're removing them.
Okay, I want to make it clear
Sure.
to you and to anyone else who's here for this property. We issued a cease and desist order,
Right.
which means you are not
Ex-
allowed to do any removal
Right.
of
we did
soil
not-
or materials.
So I don't know what that picture was. I mean, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, well,
I didn't really see any of those today, but maybe I wasn't behind the pallets.
didn't-
Those are, did you remove the bricks?
No, we did not remove the bricks. We didn't do anything, other than
I
put the hay.
mean, you can,
It was today.
there's nothing wrong with removing the bricks, by the way.
Doing what
It's
today?
not the bricks that have been removed, it's the dirt that's piled in behind it now.
But we didn't, well, all we did, when we got that order, we put the hay bales up in the sea. We didn't do any work, anything after
And they
that. over
removed,
there.
after they were given the order, they removed all that too.
Yeah, but they removed it, right?
After we gave them the
After they
cease
gave
and
an order
desist.
for cease and
Oh, it's
desist.
not to remove.
Not afterwards.
My computer
What-
did,
When you say, do you know when I walked up there and gave them the order?
Yeah, I got a copy from the state, from DEP. They
You
emailed.
know,
It was Tuesday.
when I walked up and I handed it to Peter, you cannot do anything, everybody was off the property when that was done. And they're saying, after I left, and then they came back and started doing something.
Wednesday they came back. And to tell me, and today again. They're doing more.
Do more what? I didn't fill in the
filling?
wetlands.
Filling
We
in,
didn't fill.
bringing dirt in, or pushing
We
dirt
didn't bring
from
any
one side of
dirt.
the lot to the other, I don't know.
No.
They're not supposed to be
Then
doing anything.
We didn't do anything.
Well, they
Are
are
they
supposed to be
using big
doing,
equipment
Oh,
or
they have a Bobcat.
they have a
There's-
I
Bobcat
don't know
out
if they
there?
were using
But we
it
didn't.
today, 'cause
Okay.
I mean, they're supposed to be doing erosion and sedimentation controls according to the enforcement order. So they are actually supposed to be doing something.
The erosion
right?
and sedimentation, are they there already?
Yeah,
There's a
that's
silt fence,
the,
right?
right.
Isn't that what I saw
Yeah,
yours?
that's the,
So they're there, so
I
they
mean-
shouldn't be doing anything else.
That was it. We only just to do that.
Yeah.
We did that. We haven't removed anything out of there, so.
Okay.
Right.
So anyway,
you see, that's, I mean, I went there today, and that's what I saw as the site, which was very, it looked like it was cleared, you know, that it was nice and clean. And, you know, it looked like a mess behind the house where there's pallets
Right,
and all
this
that
pallet,
stuff.
yeah, right. I
But
know.
it's
Well, we're
between
trying to, right.
trees. Yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
gotta
not,
be,
you
but
know.
we haven't done any removal or anything after that order.
the wetlands to me looked pretty virgin.
That's how it
They
was
looked-
in the year for years.
I mean, well, I didn't see anything, I didn't see any leaves. Oh, okay, I see what the photographs are. Look, it's, see, the pile of leaves right there on the side.
and debris and stones and.
Well, it's a mess
Contractor
there, there,
parts.
you know, but it looks like you've been clearing it up. It
We
looks like you've
cleaned
been
it,
trying
yeah,
to
right.
clean it.
Put, we were removing it. We moved it off-site.
Yeah.
So,
but anyway.
Right.
So I would suggest that we perhaps take a walk of the site so everybody's familiar with it. I think we're gonna need to do that for the notice of intent as well. What would you guys like to do with the enforcement order? Would we like to ratify it?
Well,
Because I think that's what's on
certainly.
the agenda.
Certainly not. Do we know what the DEP wants to do this for? What are the DEP? They called you up?
No, they called Nancy, I went, like I said, and I talked to the girl, so I have to go there and issue the cease and desist, which I did.
More. Yeah.
And he knew there nothing else could be done. I mean, I made that point. And yesterday I called the girl back and I said, I did what you asked, and she's, okay, thank you. And that was it.
So in a cease and desist order, we can actually ask them to do a restoration plan. We can ask them, you know, to change what they did.
Well-
We can ask them to do notice of intent, but we never asked them to do anything like that. Except we did ask them to do erosion sedimentation controls. And actually, you have a notice of intent anyway, because
Right.
you want to build two
Right.
houses on that land.
Right.
Well, we go through this, do
So-
this too tonight, and
Yeah.
make a determination then.
Well, I think do we want to hold off on, I would suggest that we ratify the enforcement order just so it's standing.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because it's likely we're going to ask for more information no matter what for the notice of intent, because I think I was missing a plan.
Yes, I didn't see
And
this
I
one, but
actually,
yeah.
that's another question, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
'Cause, but anyway, do I have a motion to approve the enforcement order, and is there any changes that you guys want to it?
My question is, if we approve the enforcement order and he's going after a notice of intent, then he'll wanna clean up the property.
He can do it as part of the notice of intent.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Then,
Normally, we would have ticked off something like notice of intent with the enforcement order, right? I think so. I mean, even though we didn't tick that off, he's done one.
He's
'cause
done
gonna
one, so I think
construct a house.
I think that maybe, I think we're covered, myself.
Okay.
All right. Anybody want any additions to it, or do you want to approve it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be, can continue because it says no filing of landscape materials in the buffer zone.
Right.
Right, so you're not going to do that,
No.
and we can keep that going, right? It's not like the last one, which is to do with construction, so, yeah. The last one in another case, not this one,
Okay, right.
yeah. So do you have I motion to approve the enforcement order.
Excellent. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to the notice of intent now.
Can we do them now? The notice of intent?
Yes, because he's next on the agenda.
Excellent.
So,
Do you want to come up here, Mr. Dale? You're on again.
or is it Russ and John doing it? Are
Russ
you
and
guys-
John, you
Oh,
guys
Russ and John
for
will
this?
do it.
It's
All
the-
right.
Okay.
I'll give them a tough time.
Yeah. All right, I'm just trying to find the paperwork. Bear with me. Okay, this is a hearing for 5 Dale Street. Do you have the newspaper notice in the abutter cards, Nancy? No? Do you have a copy of the newspaper notice?
Yes.
Okay, and the abutter cards? Excellent.
Bear with me for 1 minute.
Okay.
You want those first?
Yeah, if you could dig them out, I'm gonna open the hearing. I'd just like to read the newspaper notice when I open the hearing. I don't seem to have it here. Let me try. That's what I'm looking for. Like to, Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on the notice of intent filed by Peter Wells, 62 Arrowhead Drive, Situate, to construct 2 single-family homes with site appurtenances within the 100-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland at 5 Dale Street. Hearing is in accordance with MGL 131, Section 40, governing the wetlands and Abington Town Bylaws, Chapter 171, and any amendments thereto. Said hearing will be held Tuesday, August 26, 2014, at 7 p.m. at the Abington Town Hall, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington. Does somebody have a motion to open the hearing?
Make a motion, we open the hearing?
Second? All in favor? Thank you. And we have the butter cards.
I think all three the 3 that we're here for, I think are all.
In one, we'll give
On
it to
the
Nancy and
newspaper.
she'll do the nice cutting and pasting. Great. Did you have the assessor's list for this one? Didn't see it with the filing. Oh, you gave me the wrong cards?
Those ones are next. Or whenever. Here's the cards.
There's,
Okay,
Can
that
you
looks
do the
right.
abutters list?
Yes, please, that would be
That's
excellent.
the only, well, okay.
Can one of you check that we have the cards?
sure.
Excellent, thank you. And, so, whenever you're ready, you wanna explain to us what the plan is? these plans for us to take to, Rob? Are these plans for us to use as well?
Yeah, yes, they are. There's actually two.
That's all it said.
Good evening. My name is John Potter, and I work with Russell Wheatley at the Russell Wheatley Company. We're here with Peter Wells and Julie Bumpus, who are two of the owners of this property here on at the corner of Dale Street and Vineyard Road. It is addressed as number 5 Dale Street. The property is located on the west side of Dale Street and the south side of Vineyard Road. The proposal is to subdivide the property into 2 residential house lots. Currently, the property has a single-family dwelling, which is shown here is number 5 Dale Street, and also has a commercial business on it. Landscaping business. The landscaping business, as I've spoken with the owners, when this goes through the landscaping business, Peter has found a place. He's going to move his material off-site so that there'll be 2 residential houses constructed on the property. As you can see in the majority of the lot is a wetland. Shown here, we have flags 1 through 13. It also it loops around to the rear, and up in here we have the Shumatuskecan River, which we took off of a plan done by a land court plan. It hasn't been physically located. That's an approximate location of the river itself. The proposed use of this is to create 2 residential house lots, as I've said. Location of the houses are shown on the plan. On this plan that you have here was presented to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We were going to request a lot width variance on lot number 1, and as was shown to us, we were going to end up having to request a frontage setback or some frontage variance on lot number 2 for the frontage that is on Dale Street. So we have gotten a continuation from the Zoning Board of Appeals, so we are in the process of reworking some information to see if we can make everybody happy. So there is no filling on our proposal. There is no filling of the wetlands. We are honoring the 10-foot buffer zone of the bordering vegetated wetlands. We are proposing a siltation fence. If you look at the second plan here, what we've done is we have gone out and done topography of the site. We have reworked the property lines, and what I've done is we have reconfigured the property lines on this plan.
Can you move
Turn it around?
we do?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I made a big wall, I'm sorry about that. So what we've done is, on my back, is we've reconfigured the property lines, and I've gone through the building inspector and had him take a look at this to see if what I've done is proper, and what he sees is that it is, the property lines shown are acceptable to the town of Abington, and they do conform to the zoning bylaws. So what we are proposing is 2 single-family house lots, the grading shown. We're proposing a retaining wall on lot number 1 at the 10-foot buffer zone, so that we're preserving the 10-foot that is always asked for, and we try to grant at all points, all opportunities to the board. And we're also creating a swale along the side, the property line that abuts Mr. Hall, so that any runoff that might come off our property here is gonna be caught by the swale and redirected back into the wetlands, so he's not affected by any excess runoff due to the development of the house. As I said, we are mitigating with a siltation fence shown along both property lines. The houses will conform to zoning, and we are not proposing any filling of any wetlands. All the utilities will be municipal, municipal sewer. They both lots have a sewer tie-in, and also have water connections. And if there are any questions from the board or from...
Just so I'm reading this correct, David Hall, he is
Yes.
above, he's at 172, and all the water flows down to the wetlands?
That's correct.
Okay.
How big are the 2 house lots?
The 2 house lots, one of the house lots is, the area is 41,000 square feet. The other area is about 76,000 square feet. They have more than sufficient area.
However, the house itself on what is considered wetland is small in comparison to the overall lot. The lot size is 40,000, but when you really look at the area where the houses go, it's very small in comparison.
Yes, the wetlands, the upland area on both of the lots is a lot less than, it's a lot less than what is shown. They're both in excess of 15,000 square feet, which is allowed by zoning, but they are significantly smaller than 30,000 square feet of upland. But they are and will be legal lots.
So there's no alteration of the BBW?
Pardon me?
There's no alteration of the BBW? You're not
No, we're not altering the border and vegetated wetland at all.
You show an approximate location of the Shimatusket River.
Right.
You do not show the 100-year.
Well, I'm not sure where the river is yet. I do know previous, and we have to investigate this, there were previous notices done that are actually downstream from our lot here, and I know at that point the Shimatusket was considered an intermittent stream. So I don't know. I have to look at this and see what the river is going to be called at this time.
Right, and so at this point, we don't know the answer to that.
At this time, I don't know.
Because I'm thinking riverfront,
Right,
because when you
right.
do, it may not be within the 100 where you show it,
Exactly.
but it's probably within the 200.
Yeah, on the first plan, actually, I think we do show a dimension about 150 feet, more or less, to the
Yeah,
to the activity.
oh, yeah, and that would be within the
Right,
riverfront
right.
protection
But
district.
there again, we have to look at the river itself to see if it's intermittent or not.
And then the next question I had for you, when I look at the sketch that you provided for us, and what's here, flag WF9.
I never did a sketch for you.
This was with my filing. I think it might be Brooks. Maybe it's your biologist.
Okay, yeah.
And her WF9 looks like it's right on, it looks like it's either a fence or I don't know how she'd know where the property line is.
All right, those flags, we tell you the truth, we located those flags independently, twice, so that location is,
So,
Where it
on
is.
the DEP wetlands map, this area looked like it extended actually farther towards the property boundary when I looked at it on the DEP. But the other thing is it indicated that there was a vernal pool here. The question I have is that this wetland here that's up front, is that a vernal pool or is that an isolated land subject to
I think
flooding?
it's isolated myself. It does have, when we located those, the first time we
So-
located them, there was water in it.
There was what,
Uh,
okay,
But
so.
when we located them,
You don't show the extent of it, but you would need to prove to us that it is, if it's 100-year, I mean, if it's isolated, truly isolated land subject to flooding, there are other regs that go with that,
Right.
including, there's a flood zone that goes around it as well, which would be considered part of the protection. So I think that there might be a little work associated with both of those wetlands that you're showing on the plan right now.
okay.
So if you could take a look at that, that would be appreciated. As I understand it, zoning hasn't approved this.
No.
Have you gotten planning to do, has planning gonna see this too? I don't quite
The
always.
only reason planning is gonna see it is because there's gonna be individual single-family house lots. It's just for the lots themselves.
So these
To
are
get
already
a Form A,
subdivided?
They're gonna be considered what you consider a Form A plan.
Okay, so you haven't gotten either of those approvals at this point?
No, not yet. No, we had a continuation from the zoning board of appeals, and we haven't been in front of the planning board yet.
Does anybody else have any questions? We have quite a few neighbors here. I think maybe we should probably let them speak. This is about 5 Dale Street. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand, say your name and your address.
Me again, I guess. My first question would be, which plan are we using? Because the first, page 1 is different from page 2. Shows a different configuration of houses.
Oh, yeah, there's a-
This one shows a totally different house than this one. And this one's different than that one. That would be my first question. You're approving one and you're going with a different one.
We're just presenting to the board, we're just presenting to the board
Right, but they're.
what we're doing
approving
right
this
now.
one.
Well, we're not gonna get an
Who's
approval
gonna
for
get
that.
it? Who's
So-
gonna get this one? Is only gonna get that one?
Which one is the one we're supposed to, there's two
Whichever
plans.
one
This
you-
is July, this is August.
So is August the one we should be using?
The one, yeah, the August plan is the one you should use,
So,
the one with the topography on it.
So I'd like to request, no matter what determination you make it to the plan specific, so that zoning will see that.
okay. Anything else you'd like to present?
If they make a recommendation, that they make it to that plan,
That's
not
what,
to a
it
generic.
always is done that way.
My first question on this lot here, you say there's no fill, but there's a 6-foot swale right here between my house, it's actually up on the other lot. There's about a 6-foot depression right here that runs, it starts at like a foot or 2 and it gets deeper and deeper and deeper as it runs back through here.
Is that
Well, that
natural?
was my
Is
question.
what's
It's
there now?
natural. Well,
Yeah.
it's natural to a point of, my side's natural, the other side's fill, but we'll get to that at another point here.
Well, that was my question earlier, that I asked John, to make sure that the water will run away from your land, no matter
Right,
what.
but he's saying there's no fill, there's 6 feet of it over here on the side.
No, he's not bringing any fill in, that's what he said.
I said we're not filling any
You're not
wetlands.
fill-
I didn't talk
yeah.
about fill at all, except for the fact that we're not filling any wetlands.
So
I
you
said
are,
it wasn't filling anything.
so,
That-
you are
know,
filling,
Talking about wetlands.
you're adding fill to the upper part to beyond what's already there?
I haven't really looked at the plan with that in mind to see if there was gonna be more, or if I was, my initial trial was to try and, equal everything out. So it was just gonna be, if we were gonna be doing anything, we were gonna be moving some material around. So I don't know if there's gonna be, if it's gonna be more or less, to be honest with you.
Okay.
The
I
plan
think
is not to bring fill in.
we would like to know that if you are gonna bring it in, because I think there's a good bit there already. All right. Anything else?
I've got a list actually, but.
Okay, go ahead.
Just, I know that you all board members know this, but I'm just gonna read this just so it's out there. It says, except as permitted by the Conservation Commission or provided by bylaw, no person shall fill, and I'll go that far with it, and stop. I'm sure you know the rest of the regs and your own conservation thing. On May 5th, 2001, the DEP found that the applicant or landowner was using the property as an illegal solid waste facility. In addition to solid waste activity, the waste was being disposed of within the buffer zone adjacent to wetlands. I have the complaints and everything, if you need a copy, if not, I'll give you one. The applicant at the time, when DEP made the notice, actually gave them a way to fill out if they wanted to become a compost. So they chose not to fill out those forms, they chose not to file. Instead, for the last 13 years, I've lived there for 15, they've continued to fill this piece of property. They get a little pile, no one notices, the bobcat comes in one Saturday, pushes it over the hill. We call and complain, and, you know, it stops for a few weeks, and another pile goes on the other side, and it over the hill. It's been happening for, like I said, 13 years. I have photos, and I'm gonna give you all a copy when I'm done. I have Mass GIS photos, 2001, 2008, clearly shows the land getting bigger. 2001 is when they told them to take it out. 2008, it's big again. We already kind of went over some of this stuff. On August 19th, they were told to cease and desist. After that happened, on August 20th, they removed the fill, all those long tractor pots, all that other stuff that was out there, they removed it on the 20th. They put hay bales in. They continue to do it, because again, today, they keep saying they're not doing it, but every day, 20 guys over there doing it. Right now, we don't even know if this is gonna pass zoning. I don't know how he got, I mean, is he gonna come back with another map one? Because this doesn't meet zoning either, no matter what he says. You need 15,000 feet of continuous upland.
That's correct.
Where are you building it?
And there's 15,000 square feet.
Yeah. I did the math.
You're very good if you can look at that in 3 seconds and tell me that's wrong.
I did the math off of the original. Even I added this piece of straight line. Still came up with about 12,000. That's most of my points. Like I said, I'll give you the pictures that I have and explain what the pictures are and what was taken. I'm requesting that the board hire a consultant, as you are entitled to do by your own regulations, to check the soil, to see what's filled in there. It's quite clear that it's filled. If you look on the side of my property, I don't think the wood timbers are natural. It goes up and up and up along the side of the property. You can see the loom sticking out, you can see trash sticking out. I mean, it's clearly not natural. They fill it in and now they're going to build a house on it.
Well, are you having problems with drainage? Are you having problems with?
No, I'm having problems with illegally dumping in the wetlands.
Well,
My property, let's go back to my property as wetlands, I don't go out there. It could be worse, it could be better, my grass stops at certain feet, and then I own into the woods all the way to the river. So I don't go out there, it's probably an ocean back there, but I wouldn't go out there.
But, you know, the fill they're talking about is where it's pretty obvious they built up the land where they're building a house.
Yeah, this was all, this is conveniently shaped in the same shape that they pushed the dirt over the hill, all this wetlands. You look at the GIS maps from 2001, you can clearly see the space between what he's calling as a wetland, what the state is calling a vernal pool. And I have pictures and mapping to corroborate what I'm saying.
Do you know where the vernal pool is on that map?
Right there.
So it's in the wetland where you.
It's right there, in the wetland. And I have the GIS maps with the locations on them. So, I mean, that extends the buffer of what he's trying to do here. Quite a bit. So I'm asking that the board hire consultants, they have their illegal right to do. Have the applicant pay for a consultant to come out and test pools or whatever, to confirm what's filled. You don't know, I know you don't know where the wetlands are, it's pretty obvious from the pictures. You have the right to hire somebody to come out and do it, and they have to pay for it. So there's a burden of proof is not on me. I shouldn't have to prove the wetlands, they should have to prove that there is by law. And the last point that I have is under MGL, they could mitigate this problem by putting one house in. Because they're trying to stuff two houses in where they clearly don't fit. Mass General Law says that's not hardship. They can, if they can put one there, I'm not telling them you can't put one house in. I'm telling them you can't jam things into the wetlands. By law, I can't stop him from doing zoning, he probably even can't even something to do, but they can tell him, you gotta cut it back. It's right in Mass General Regs, limiting the size of lots, or the amount of lots.
Okay.
And that's about it that I have.
Thank you.
Except
And feel free to pass in anything you'd like.
This is pretty much everything I said, plus all the pictures with
Excellent.
what they explain and what they do.
Sure, we'll take a
And
look
I
at
will
that.
actually give you the hard copy pictures, so you can see I didn't doctor them or whatever.
That's fine. That would be great, thank you. I'm gonna pass it around, but
These are
hopefully
the hard
Nancy can give
copy
us
pictures.
copies
They're
later.
the same as the ones that are in there, but those are the hard copies.
Does anybody else from the public have anything to add?
Dennis Salsagori, 6 Beaver Lane.
Hi.
I agree with Mr. Hall here, and I live right beside that paper street, which is Indian Road, it's a continuation. My lot is 2 levels, my kids call it the way back. That lower level is always flooded in the winter, spring. And it's right through the street and into that pond. So I'd like to know where that, pond and river actually is on a map, so I can, so we all can see it. And if it does go through, I don't wanna come back here 2 or 3 months from now, like the previous 2 couples that were here this morning, saying, we told you so, and he's kept on doing it.
Are you having any flooding problems at this point in time?
No, well, the backyard,
Yeah, but
it's-
you're
but
not-
we don't really use the backyard.
Mhm.
The builder just dumped stuff there, and there's a few sinkholes there, and I'm sure that's helping with the water. I mean, putting this in here, looks like it's gonna, I don't have the swale, they don't, I'm talking about swale on the side there, so where's it gonna go? It's gonna go in my yard.
So you're at the house lot
I'm
on Vineyard here
right
at the
at the
corner?
corner.
Okay,
Yeah.
on Beaver, right, so Beaver's right here, okay.
I mean, if you try to walk
So
down
you're right
Paper
there.
Street, it's probably gonna be muddy.
Mhm.
And that's just now, and later on, it'll be wet.
So you find it wet through here as you go into it? Okay.
And it's only gotten worse over the years, and it's building up, and our concern is that if they need to do the digging in that property to build these houses, and it has to disturb the land at some point, wetlands or not, it's gonna flood even more. And when we bought our house 40 years ago, the part just to the right of that paper road was called the 100-year floodplain, and the Shumatuskakant is right at the back of that.
Oh, so you think
And
it's
it's on the
closer?
maps from when
You
we
think-
bought our house.
You think it's closer than it's shown on the map at this point, is that what you're
I
saying?
believe, from the maps that we got when we purchased the house 40 years ago, that is what it is.
Right, I know I looked at the Mass GIS map, and it does run behind the properties here and connect to a
Yeah.
fairly significant wetland that shows up back here. Yeah. So that's good. All right, appreciate it. Yes. I got a few more over here, yes?
Jim Franny, 931 Washington Street. I'm just curious about vernal pools. How do you determine whether or not there is a vernal pool there, number one? And number two, aren't there a lot more severe restrictions on vernal pools?
Yes, and there is. I don't know everything about vernal pools, but I can tell you that there are some that are already certified, and it takes a certified biologist. They have to meet some minimum qualifications to certify a vernal pool. And in this case, I think it is a potential vernal pool. I don't think it's been certified. But I think a botanist would be able, not a botanist, biologist would be able to figure that out. But there are more rules and regs that go with the vernal pools. If you may trigger a wildlife habitat study, et cetera. But there are, depending on what's there. The gentleman in the back?
Yeah, Rich Curtin, 16 Beaver Lane. I'm concerned about the flooding on one house over from Dennis. Gets very wet in the back of mine. very wet. So this is really something that needs to be looked at. And I've also seen the dumping, nothing recently. I've called and complained about the dump trucks that used to dump and fill in the wetlands, and to me it looked like it was all kinds of rubbish and everything else from parking lots, wherever else it got it. That may have been removed, or some of it was when DEP was finally involved. But it's very wet, and I think it needs some serious consideration of what's going on there. And there's a business running there that shouldn't be there, that's been there for years. I moved out of Quincy for the nice quiet of Abington, and Quincy followed me, because all of a sudden all these dump trucks from Quincy appear right next to my house. Complained about it. Evidently, they're not running a business. But maybe True Cheese isn't running a supermarket down the street either, I don't know. But it certainly seems like running a business to me. So I think this needs to be considered extra attention. Thanks.
Thank you.
That was a
Yes.
Yeah.
That was really close.
Yeah, that might have been bad.
Yeah.
Story
Thanks.
all about it. As the vernal pool was brought up, I won't go into all the details, but it is approximately right here in the second lot. I think even his own plans mark it H2O or something, a sketch, or I've seen something.
Are you pointing to the
This-
wetlands?
Are you pointing into the wetlands, or are you pointing
Yeah, I
to
think
what
you're
house
supposed
and
to be in the wetlands.
I'm trying to figure out the map, I couldn't see it, but
It's over in this area here. That's where the vernal, that's where the big flow area is.
the vernal pool. Well, anyways, I was gonna request that a habitats evaluation be done in that area, and I have other pictures of, there's tons of vernal pools all in this area that are certified. So the chances of this being a certified vernal pool is very high. And I've attached stuff from DEP, and I would just like to make sure the qualifications of the person who's doing the study meet 310 CMI 10.61B. And I put everything in writing at the suggestion of DEP, Ms. Davis, I believe, for the board, and I've searched all the, original
There's pictures of the vernal pool, the landscape topography around it.
for the board to review.
There's also the GIS map with a little circle on it, is actually the indication of the vernal pool.
Mr. Collar, you did actually note that the Endangered Species Act and the Wetlands Protection Act review does not, it's not applicable here, based on a map October 2008.
Correct.
We have photographs of the vernal pool.
I found the potential vernal pool on one of the Mass GIS maps that comes out under natural heritage, is who puts that map out. It's not the same map as the endangered species, which is probably, you may not have caught it, but I did. And so I do think that we have a potential vernal pool, which I think falls under both our own bylaws and the state regs, so. Anyway.
Did Miss Monroe work on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think the issue here is that this is an isolated land subject to flooding, but we don't know where the extent is, because I think in this case, they were just trying to flag the actual wetland.
Correct.
But it probably is of some importance to us if it is closed or it doesn't have really a significant inlet or outlet. It's probably a isolated land subject to flooding, and then the next question is it a vernal pool?
Right.
And, you know, it looks like the grading's deep enough that it could very easily be, so.
Okay.
Because if it's dry now,
It's
it looks like
muddy
she
in
only
the
showed a little pond in the middle.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so.
Yeah, when she
it
did,
has
when
the-
she did her flagging, there was water in it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it does look like there was some storage of some kind of nasty stuff on here. All right. I think we need to probably get copies of this stuff and take a look at it to figure out what we need, what we just received. All right, any more comments from the public? Okay, if not, Russ, you had a question or a comment?
Russell Weekly, the Russell Weekly Company. I know they brought up a number of points, vernal pools and so forth. We'd be more than pleased to provide information regarding these questions. If we could have a list of specific questions that have been raised, it's a little bit confusing, a little bit overwhelming, but if you could give us a list of questions that the commission has, I use the vernal pool as an example, we'd be glad to provide you with whatever expertise, evidence is required.
Appreciate that.
Maybe a locus.
I'll just bring up one point, because I noticed this on the plan. People on Beaver Lane, there is a drain manhole in the middle of Vineyard Road, which should probably take care of their problem. Hopefully, if not, then that
Where
should
does
just.
it go?
Huh?
Where does it go?
It's not a real road. Is that what you mean?
Doesn't go anywhere. There's not, there's
It's
not.
much higher, and the back, the water's gonna run low.
This goes down People Lane. They're talking about, yeah.
Where does,
in the
is
back,
it,
yeah.
do you actually have an outlet
Well,
on
on
Beaver
Beaver Lane,
Lane
right?
somewhere?
Yeah.
It doesn't drain, doesn't drain out anywhere.
No.
We
Yeah,
have,
they were
we
on
have a
the
lot
side.
of storm drain
Okay, never mind,
that the department, my neighbors all have them. They put it, they just put ones that went straight down and have no pipes with them. They just go straight down to take care of some of the puddling that goes in front of their houses.
Leaching.
Yeah,
leaching.
more of a leaching thing, and I don't know whether, I didn't, because I don't think there's something that runs down Vineyard that I'm aware of. And that neighborhood is old, unless there's something there that we just don't know about. Is there a catch basin in the street there?
There's two catch basins.
Two catch basins that go
There's
into
two catch
the
basins
manhole.
on
And where does it
Vineyard,
outlet?
and it goes down Beaver Lane.
Goes down Beaver Lane where? Does it outlet, do you know?
There is
Route
a
18.
catch basin way
At the way, at the end?
corner
Where does it
of the
outfall,
road
John?
across from
Yeah,
Dale Street.
okay.
By the fire hydrant, I think there's one near there, but it's not on Vineyard Road where this land is gonna be developed.
Now,
No.
your issue was in the backyard.
The backyard is where the
Yeah.
water is for you, for everyone here, because I think the river runs back here.
So your issue is just to make sure that their water does not drain to you, which is the way this actually shows, because they start at 172, and then they go down to 168. And then they're at 171 on the corner of Vineyard Road, and then it goes back down to 168 to the wetlands. So that might be an issue already solved. Plus, they're responsible for their own water. You already have water problems, but they will be responsible for their own water to make sure it drains. Drains into the wetlands.
Yeah, and
We got this. This
pretty
is what the
extensive
drainage from
wetlands.
Beaver Lane does. You can see
Oh, it goes all the way down
it
here.
goes, actually, it comes here. There's an easement that's about in the middle of the road that
It
comes.
goes in out here and it
drops.
goes in back. Is this, goes in back of these neighbors?
It
Does
goes in back of the neighbors, yeah,
So the drainage comes off and it goes back behind them?
right.
Okay. Thank you. That's all. All right,
So the questions that these people have is the vernal pool, make sure the drainage, and what else did you have for?
Legal fill.
I think we should take a site walk out there.
You're welcome to go
I-
on my
I-
property.
Yeah, I think if the owner doesn't have a problem, I think we would like to do a
Right, no,
site
I'm just
walk.
trying to get Wheatley's, the questions that they
Yeah,
want
well,
to answer.
yeah, so I'd like to do a site walk so we can see it, so we can
Okay.
take a look at the fill. That was
Okay.
really, I was trying to answer the fill question.
Okay.
I think the vernal pool and the riverfront, for me, are both important questions to answer. Isolated land subject to flooding question.
Mhm.
The amount of fill that's been put in, that you might put in or
I
not
mean,
put in.
I don't have a number as far as. what
You don't know yet, no. So if you could give us some idea of what you plan to do.
Mhm.
Okay, that's for Wheatley to address.
Right.
You want us to also address the fill that's already there.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the engineering firm.
Well, I think we probably, if we go look at it, we can make some determination ourselves
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Oh, sure.
I think that's probably the best way to do it. Plus, I think we should walk it, at least the front part here where the vernal pool is.
Is there a timeline on this? When it's coming up before zoning again?
Zoning is 9/11.
Okay.
And then, and
So
planning?
if zoning doesn't.
Planning is gonna be, if everything goes through, we get all approvals, then we'll go to planning.
Why does
the
it
planning
go
board.
to planning? Why does it?
Because we're subdividing the lot into two.
So they want to make it into Form A lots, and they have to, planning has to agree with, I guess, the
Well,
zoning
no,
decision.
we just
right?
wanna make sure, I mean, if we get a zoning board approval, for one way or another, I mean, if we get zoning board approval, right now we're looking for variances for lot width. And if we continue going that route, we'll have to get the zoning board's, approval. And then if we get all our conditions from the Conservation Commission, to do what we wanna do, that's the approvals that we need to go forward to do the Form A plan. Otherwise, there's no sense in doing a Form A plan if we don't have that in place.
Okay. So
Okay,
the 11th,
if you can give us a list of questions that we can address through field examination, whatever, we'd be glad to respond to that.
yeah, and I think that's what, I think we
what we
kind of
That's-
just did our
that's-
shopping list, and
Sure.
I think the
Okay, do
only.
you have a record of that, John, so we?
Yeah, check the wetlands flags, pond location, vernal pool,
Riverfront,
Drainage.
riverfront.
monofil.
Mr. Freeney asked about the vernal pool. So there are specific regulations to deal with the vernal pool. Obviously the preservation, because if that's destroyed, it'll never come back again. And one of them is if the habitat is going to change around that. So they do have specific protections into the vernal pool. But I think we're going to take that into account in our plans.
Right. So, I think what I heard was that you're not going to zoning to the 11th.
That's correct.
So it seems wise for us to postpone this until after you go to zoning, so we'll see the later plan that you may have.
Okay.
And by that point, you'll have a little bit of time to figure it out, so maybe we
Right.
could do it on the 20, what's the next one, the 25th, is that? No, that doesn't sound right, 9 and 14. 23rd. 23rd? Is that okay with you guys to continue the hearing till the 23rd?
Sure.
And when are we going to have a look at the?
What's a good day for everybody? Is a Saturday the best?
I'll be out, I won't be here this weekend.
Actually,
You
this
guys can
weekend.
go. You don't need me.
Yeah, you're the best. You're the best. Well, but that is Labor Day weekend. So even though, and I would point out, the Conservation Commission meets every 2 weeks, summer or winter, unlike other boards. But maybe we should get Labor Day. What do you think off? I actually am working Saturday morning, but can we have Labor Day off? How about the following week? Would that be okay?
I won't be able to join you on a Saturday, but I could probably do it on my own.
Okay.
Okay. Is that okay? Is that all right if I just tell so on the Saturday of, what date is that then? That 11, 12, 13, no.
6th?
The 6th. Saturday the 6th, what time would you gentlemen like to be there? 8 or 9?
8 possible.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.?
Is that
all right?
Is that okay?
On that Saturday?
And that's Saturday, and I will try to do it on my own. I'll tell whoever's there that I'm just taking a walk, because I don't think it's that hard to walk to the back of the property.
And do you have an open DEP plan here? Is there no open DEP?
Do you have a DEP number?
No, not yet.
Okay, so we haven't gotten that
No,
letter either.
no.
Oh, there's not, okay.
So we have to continue it. So that's
Right.
probably a good reason to wait till the
Right.
23rd as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But you don't have a DEP investigation or anything like that, an open investigation? do
No,
you?
no, this was, the cease and desist came after we had already made our notice of intent submission. So the first part of this kind of came, came a bit of a surprise. We were coming in for the notice of intent, and that was filed 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks ago.
They might have been, Riverview might have looked at plan or their map and then take a look to the photograph now, and that's why they might have come up with that idea of dumping.
Right.
Rather
Right,
than
so
having
we'll-
somebody going out.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool.
All right, okay.
Great.
Anything else from anybody in the audience or on here?
Yep.
All set? Okay, I would take a motion to close the hearing.
Or to continue.
Oh, to continue the hearing to
September.
September 23rd. Thank you. All in favor? Oh, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. And we'll move on to the
Thank
next
you.
hearing. Thank you, guys. Just gonna make sure Nancy gets it.
Can we keep one of those
wanna keep
plans?
these?
Well, just one, because we don't have it. I didn't have a plan,
None of us
so,
did.
yeah. We'll just borrow one.
This.
You're the best. But I mean, you know what? Nancy has one, so we're all set.
This is the old, this is the July 16th, 2004. What's this? No, I want this one. This is the August one. I take this one. You can have this one. Confuse me otherwise. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next meeting. As soon as I clear up the paperwork. Did we have a second letter that they gave us? Is there a second one down there? Maybe there is. Is that it right there? I'm just gonna give it to Nancy. Nancy, could you make us, scan us copies of these? Oh, no problem, go for it, we'll wait for it. And what, you want copies? You can send it to her, copies of these, this letters.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That way we'll have it, if people will have them. Okay. Hold on a second, gentlemen, and we'll be right with you. I just gotta
Fine.
get my
Don't worry.
agenda.
Don't hurry.
You ready to move in?
I'm not
Which
going
one?
anywhere.
Is this Washington Street?
This
or
is
what
Washington Street. This is a notice of intent for 899 Washington Street. Nancy went to get batteries for her recording, and she'll be right back. So if we don't mind holding off for a minute.
No, it's okay.
And
Do
that'll
I have
give us a chance
permission
to-
to stop the,
That would be great. We'll take a couple of minute recess.
All right.
Okay. What time is it now?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Okay.
So 9 o'clock, I'm just kind of,
I had to revise that.
It's all done.
Is that a pun?
Gentlemen, excuse me, we're gonna reconvene. Okay, this is a hearing for 899 Washington Street. Patricia Lewis, estate of Francis and Wilhelmina Nessier, to construct single-family dwelling and garage with site appurtenances within the 10-foot buffer zone of a bordering vegetated wetland. I would entertain a motion to open the hearing.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Okay, and Russ Wheatley and John Cotter are here again to represent the homeowner. I think we have one abutter who is interested.
I'm in here, my father is the abutter,
Oh, okay, that's fine.
cross street.
No problem.
you're across the street from the site?
My father.
Okay. And I guess we are looking for, we'll check the abutters list.
That's my job, eh?
That's your job. You're sitting next to me. That's your job too. Oh, you have new plan, you have marked up plans for us. That's nice. You can start whenever you'd like.
I was just gonna sit down. Good evening, my name is John Cotter. I work with the Russell Wheatley Company. I'm here with Russell Wheatley, and we are showing you or proposing a single-family house to be constructed on a lot on Washington Street. Address has been given 899 Washington Street, located on the east side. There are residential houses on both sides of the proposed house. And there is a area of bordering vegetated wetland we've highlighted in green to the rear of the house.